Hi everyone. So I want to show you a great program I use a lot. It's called FSpy. It's a free and open source program. Basically what it allows you to do is import images into FSpy and then set up the 3D perspective to match. So then you can import that as a camera into Blender, and then you can model with the exact same perspective as a photo that you've taken, or like a photo you have, something you took from like a royalty-free website or Google Earth or whatever. So all you need to do is go to fspy.io, download the program for free, or you can donate if you're feeling kind. And then the separate link that I'll provide is GitHub, and that is to get the actual add-on for Blender so we can import the camera. But we'll get to that after. Let's just use FSpy first. So this is a new Blender scene. You can import FSpy projects into your blockout scene, but it does mess with some of the settings. So I'd rather just keep them separate, keep everything simple. So we need FSpy to appear as an import option over here. And we need to do that with their official add-on, which I'll provide a link to. I tried their main release one and it was just not working with this version of Blender, which was really weird because I've not had that issue before. But I did some digging and found other people with the same issue, and they pointed me towards version 1.0.3. I tested this and it does work, so this one's good. So follow the link, go here, and then just hit this zip here. And then once that's downloaded, we go back into Blender, edit, preferences, add-ons, install, and then find your zip that you just downloaded. Most Blender add-ons are zip files. You do not have to extract them. You can just install them as they are. Install add-on, and it should appear. There we go. So let's enable that. Import FSpy project. File, import. FSpy is now at the bottom. And then let's find our Shibuya Towers. There we go. So it's like our camera from before where we had that sky background image. This is the same thing, but it's now made a camera with the background image that is our reference photo. And if I size down the default cube and start moving it around, you can see it's actually moving in the same space as the photo. So it could be like a cube floating in the air beside the building. It's very cool. I love this program, and it's really satisfying when everything comes together. There are a few applications for it. Some people use it for like photo manipulation, like they want to like add a building to this photo. They can model it in 3D with the exact same perspective and everything, and then add it in later in Photoshop or whatever they want to use. So yeah, but we're going to be using it for just modeling reference. So we can start doing that with just the default cube. I'm going to move it to the corner position here. One obvious issue is we can't see the building behind the cube. So how we can fix that is going to the camera. So just click the border, camera properties, background images, switch this from back to front. There we go. And now the cube is behind the image. You're going to have to kind of play with the opacity because you want to be able to see both of them while you're modeling. So just find what works for you. I think the default 0.5 is good for me for now, but I might have to change it later. Okay. So let me get another window here so I can kind of see what's going on. I'll use this as the reference window. And this one I'll use as the modeling window. I'm going to try and get this close to the origin, the world origin here. Okay. And from there, let's move it into position, GX. There we go. And then let's go into edit mode, grab the rear face. Let's try and guess how thick this building is because we can't quite see where it ends. I'm going to guess it ends about there. There we go. And then, oh, this building actually goes further. I just ended it at the windows, not the actual end of the building. So GX, pull it to the edge. There we go. So I actually made it too thick. Pull it back. There we go. And then there's a little box at the top. Let's do this loop cut first. So we're going to do this extrusion here. So let's do Control R, GUI. I'm trying to get this loop cut to meet this edge here so we can do this extrusion. GUI. Pretty close. Can't tell what this gray thing is. Might just be a different colored panel. Okay, and let's extrude that side. EX. You can see it's a bit off. That's okay. And then the other side. EX. There we go. So it looks like that side is actually extruding much further out than the side we can see. If you see the front of the building, it's like the building is all very strange extrusions. We have this little box at the top. I'm going to assume that's not a balcony because it would be like 8 meters tall. So let's make this with extrude. Might deviate from the photo a bit and just have it so you can see it, so the building looks a bit more interesting from this angle. So I'll make it taller. There we go. And let's do this balcony. There we go. Okay, and so it has pillars and a section we have to cut out. So we can cut it out with booleans, but it's so simple we could probably just do loop cuts. So let's just do that. Control R. GZ. I'm going to put at the floor of the balcony. I'm going to ignore this boxy part and just use the rest of the model. And my texture, I didn't use this part, so it should be fine. Control R. Let's do the ceiling of the balcony. There we go. And let's cut it out. Oh, we need to do this wall here. So let's do a loop cut there. That'll be useful for our texture as well. GX. Line it up. There we go. So it's flush with that tiled area. Okay, and then let's just cut these out. So face select, this one, be gone. And then I'm going to turn on snap to edge. I'm going to grab this edge, hit extrude, and have it meet the distance between this edge and this edge. So EY. There we go. And then since these are the same distance on the y-axis, just like this one and this one, hit F. They're joined. And then this one, this one, this one, and this one, F. And build the floor. There we go. And it has some pillars as well. How many are there? So it's 1. Oh, is that a reflection or an actual pillar? That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One's kind of hidden. Let's just build our own, see what works with what we think looks good. So I want a pillar there. So I'm just going to quickly select this vertex with vertex select, hit Shift S, cursor to selected. So now when I bring in a cube, it'll just appear basically where I need it. Cube, size that down. And snap is still on, so snap to the floor. Snap the top to the ceiling, GZ. And then size the whole thing on every axis except Z, so S, Shift Z. There we go. And let's bring it in a bit because it's hanging off the edge. GY. There we go. Quickly, we can just duplicate it. But I want to make sure the distance between them is perfect, and I want to try out a few different numbers of them. So let's do an array modifier. So we click the object in object mode and then go to modifiers, add modifier, array. And by default it is 2, and let's see. It's going the wrong way, so you can just drag this so it's going negative. Or just rotate the whole thing. Let's try to match the picture first. Are those ones different? Oh yeah, never mind. Well, I wanted mine to be equidistant, but I'm noticing the one in this picture is actually not. This is wider than this space. That's okay though. And then I'm pretty happy with that. If we do want to be accurate, we can move that second one. So I'm just going to apply this because I don't need the array anymore. I've already settled on that. Apply. And now it's an actual object, so we can actually edit these individually. So if we do want to match the picture, we can grab this one and move it so it matches that pillar. And then let's do, it looks like, I can't tell if this is a reflection or an actual pillar, but there's at least one there, so I'm going to put one. Let's see, Shift D, Y. Probably be in the middle, realistically. Should we put one at the wall? Yeah, let's do it. So let's snap that to the wall. So GY. There we go. There we go, and that looks pretty good. Is there anything we missed? I don't want to do this boxy area. Let me extrude it. Actually tall enough. Let's do some extra. There we go. Did I miss anything? This area sort of juts out. We could do that. I'll do a simplified one. I don't want it to be that small because it's going to be kind of finicky for when we texture it. So I'll just make it like about this thickness. So let's grab another loop cut. Control R. There we go. It doesn't go around the whole building. So let's do, it ends at the tile. Okay. So let's just extrude a little bit this way, EY. And then grab these ones. Extrude on the x-axis. There we go. The topology got kind of messed up here. If you extrude like that, now there are actually two edges here on top of each other. So let's clean that up. So I'm going to go to the front view, which is, or is it the back view? So if you can't remember which hotkey it is for the specific view you want on the numpad, if you press the, I believe it's called the tilde key, it'll bring up all the options. So 9 is back. So 9. And let's center wireframe. And let's do a knife cut. So, okay. We want to do it here and on the z-axis. There we go. And if you press C, it'll just cut through the entire thing. C, there we go. And then we want to do the same going down. There we go. And z-axis, Z, and C. They actually updated this tool recently. It's a lot easier to use now. And enter. Now it's cut. Oh, no, it's not. What happened there? Let's try that again. There we go. And Z. C. Maybe I didn't hit C. There we go. And now let's clean up. So it'll be a bit of a mess in here. This is just for clean topology, which is what you want when you're texturing. So there's another one here. There we go. And then let's remove our additional vertices. So there's some doubles in here. So you can see there's doubles. There are a few ways around that. There's like auto merge, but I find that causes more problems than it creates for me. So I usually just remove them manually. So I'm going to select, go to edit mode, select all the vertices with A, M, merge by distance. And then it says it removed 2 additional vertices. So it should be a clean, let me turn off snap. Clean topology now. There we go. Sweet. So yeah, it's all quad still. So this one, I'll probably keep them separate just so we don't have to make like a complicated mesh to join them. Also, they're not going to have the same texture anyway. I'd probably just keep these white, but I will join them as one object for now. Control J. There we go. And now we should be ready for texturing. So before we go ahead and texture, I'm just going to check the topology because I'm pretty sure I made a mistake right here. So I'm just going to enter knife tool with K and select these 2 vertices, and cut those with the enter key, and now we should be good. So we can check with the face select tool. We can see that everything is now connected. So that topology is just a little bit better. So UV unwrapping, I do not enjoy it. I don't know many who do. So basically what we want to do is train Blender in how we want an image to be applied to this. Because it's not a flat object, it needs some help. So if I bring in a cube and we want to put an image on it, it would have a hard time. Since it's not a flat surface, it needs to know what this cube would look like if it were a flat surface. So we kind of have to cut it out. So it reminds me of like arts and crafts time when I was a kid making like paper cubes. So I'm going to bring in a plane. Basically, if we were to unfold a cube, it would look like that cross shape that you probably know. And then these two, ESX. So if we were to actually like, assemble this, fold it up, it would become the cube. So we want to train Blender where the edges are, like where we want it to be cut to fold out. So we have to tell it with the Mark Seam tool. So if we go to Edit and then do Edge Select, we want to select where it would cut. And you want to hide the cuts out of view as much as possible. That's why I'm choosing these back ones. So let's see, it would cut there, and then it would need to cut here and here. So basically, these orange lines are where the cuts would happen, and then it would unfold. So I'm gonna mark these with Control E, Mark Seam. And now if I go A, UV, unwrap, let's see how it does. Let's go to the UV editor and select all the faces. And there we go. You can see the cross shape. So that was a good unfold. And the seams are hidden behind the camera. So that's good. So you want to apply the same principle to the building. I don't like spending too much time with UV unwrapping. I find the gain you get from all the work put in is just not worth it, usually. If you're working on something for like video games or like full-on 3D animation, it is very good to have your UV maps like really dialed in. But we're only seeing it from like this side, so we don't have to be too particular about it. And I'd rather just dedicate less time to UV unwrapping and more time to like world building and modeling little details and stuff. Because everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And I just really enjoy putting my time into modeling. So let's do Smart UV Project. I'd rather just do that and clean up any mess it makes later instead of doing it manually because it's a bit more work. So this is the UV it's generated. We'll see how accurate it is later, but you can see like the corresponding faces. If you go like 3 for face select and select the faces, you can see where they go on the map down there. So let's see, let's add some materials to our building now that it's unwrapped. Okay, so let's make this not transparent. Let's turn up the opacity so we can actually see it. We're not modeling anymore, so it doesn't really matter if we can see through it. So let's see, how many materials do we have here? We have the glass, obviously, and then we have tile. This section would be the same texture as the glass. We have pillars and this like beam, I guess. It's not a beam. I'll call it a beam though. For simplicity's sake, I'll probably just make it the same color as the pillars. So that, or sorry, yeah, the same color as the pillars. So that's 3 materials. So we have tiles, glass, and then pillars. Let's start with the pillars. I joined this as an object, but I didn't join them their geometry. And the reason I did that is I wanted it to just be a simple single object, but I still wanted to have these distinct from the rest of the model. So since it's set up like that, you can just hover over the pillar and hit L. Get rid of all the selections you have already. Hover over and hit L, and it will select all the linked geometry to that object. So now you can just go to the other ones, hit L. I'm not actually clicking, I'm just hovering and hitting L, and it'll select them. There we go. And let's assign these a material. So they have right now just the default material, which is principled BSDF, which is fine. Let's do a gray. I'll switch to material view so you can actually see it. There we go. And then we want another material. Let's name this one. we want to select everything other than the pillars. So since we have the pillars selected, we can just hit Control I, and that's like inverse selection. So now it has everything else selected. And let's hit assign. Now you can see it's two materials. So the default one and the gray one we just made. So let's make this an actual image texture. So I'm going to bring up this window so you can see. Switch to the shader editor. And right now it is a principled BSDF, which is fine. That's what we want. And then we go to hit Shift A to bring up the node menu. And we want image texture. So you can just type them in. Image texture. And we need mapping. And we need texture coordinates. And we have to plug all these together. First, let's put the picture in there, or else it's just going to turn pink, which is the universal sign of any program for I can't find what you're looking for. So let's do glass texture. There we go. And plug color into base color. There we go. You can see it already. And now these two will help us actually arrange it, because you can see the windows are way too big right now, and some of them are not like equal scale. Like these ones are narrower than these ones. So we're going to fix that. You can also do it manually, which we'll do a bit of. So we connect UV to vector. So we want to use the UV we generated, and then vector to vector. And then let's see, we can edit these values here, and it will change the sizing of everything. One trick I found, I don't know if it's the proper way to do it, but I figured it out, and that's what I just do, is if you make a math node and then just leave it as add, as it is now, it's independently changing all the scales. So like this is the X scale. I kind of just want them to just be the same all around. So if you go to value and connect it to scale, it'll make it just one slider. So you can change the size of everything with just one slider. So it'll change X, Y, and well, there's no Z. Oh, actually, we should do this roof. Now that I see it as windows, it looks quite odd. We have to change this little beam to be the same color as the pillars. So let's select all those faces. There we go. And select the original material, which we should name. First go assign. Let's name it. These look like rafters, which is really cool. We can just leave that as it is. This floor, we won't see this floor most likely, but it looks fine as it is too. Now let's do the tile. So thankfully we made a loop cut here, because that makes it really easy to select. Sorry, I thought that was a line. That was just a window. To select that whole row. There we go. And yeah, we don't have to worry too much about the back, because it won't be seen, but might as well do it when we can, if it doesn't make anything more difficult. So we have everything. Oh yeah, we want this box too. Let's make that the same material. There we go. I'm not too worried about this. It won't be seen. So I think that's everything. Let's leave that wall as it is. Okay, and let's do a new material. Let's name it and assign. There we go. Already see it coming together. And let's make same setup as before as the windows, but we're going to use a different image. So it's already principled BSDF. So we need a image texture and a mapping node and texture coordinates. So this way of working, like I don't like working with nodes too much. I just don't find it very intuitive, or it just doesn't work with my brain too well. So I like to always bring everything into like Clip Studio after and do a bit of it by hand. I just find that way more intuitive. And like I said before, I just like having like a more human look to things. So we'll do that later. We'll brush in some like grunge and stuff. So I'm looking for a tiled wall. And that is incredibly blurry, so let's fix it. Oh, let's do the math node again. Just trying to scale it down. We can match the reference photo. So each division is one floor. We don't have to be perfect, but we can use that as just a rough idea of how big these should be. And we're gonna worry about the positioning after, like how see it's stripy on the top. I want to fix that. Close enough. Let's go to the UV editor. Since we have everything, these faces selected, if we hit G and move them around, you'll see it actually changes the mapping. So we can like really dial it in that way. So I'm going to select this front portion. Let's move. I'm trying to see how close they are to the windows. That's pretty close. It starts to get lost down here. That's fine though. Okay, and let's see. Let's do the windows. Let's position them. First of all, are we happy with that size? No, I am not. Let's do smaller windows so the building looks bigger. I have glass window selected. Cool. So this is subjective right now. And that looks pretty good to me. This part's supposed to be the top. Let's do another loop cut. If you move them around, it does mess with the actual texture. UV editor. I'm going to position it so it on that top area. And you can see a seam here, so I'm just going to move it so that's not in view. But you can be as specific as you want. I don't want to make you watch me just really try to get these windows to match up with everything. So yeah, get as specific as you want. This is just going to be a quick little one from me. Oh, I should have moved that one too. Oh, that's okay. Now, why does it look like that? Oh, I know why. It's sideways. So the auto UV unwrap, it made a boo-boo. It turned it sideways. Just R. Okay, and let's stretch these out. There we go. We're starting to look more normal. You won't see this side most likely, so I'm not going to be too fussy with it. Just try and get the scale similar. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see. I can move this one a bit. I think that is ready to put in. We might make some modifications to it, like we might add these antennas. Okay, and so that should be good. We should be able to import this into our scene. And there are a few ways to do that. You can just save this as its own project. You can also select the object itself, export it as like an FBX that you would then import into your scene, and that would retain the like material information and everything. But I usually just have 2 instances of Blender open, so I'll bring up my blockout scene and I'll just copy this over. So Control C. I will save this though as well. Just so it's good to have. Should be a Towers blend. Great. Let's bring back our blockout, and then we can just Control V, and there it is. Super tiny. So that's it for this video. Next video we can really get to modeling our details, more hard surface creative modeling. We're just gonna really try and finish this scene and we'll get this building into business. Oh, it actually looks kind of cool. I'm excited. But yeah, just we're really gonna flesh this out, get really intense about world building details, and yeah, so next video will be fun. So I'll see you there. Thank you.